Chosen one. You are not hearing this by accident, and you did not arrive at this moment by chance. Before you pressed play, heaven already marked this second as an appointment with your name on it. What pulled you here was not curiosity, it was alignment. Divine timing has converged, and your spirit recognized the signal before your mind could explain it. Anointed one, hear this carefully. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural turning point. What has been forming quietly in the unseen is now pressing toward manifestation. This is not ordinary progress. This is sudden elevation. This is divine intervention. This is a heaven-sent shift that involves protection, clarity, and a transfer God does not want you to mishandle. Right now, God is speaking urgently because what looks good, feels right, and seems perfectly aligned is not what it appears to be. There is a setup waiting not to bless you, but to derail you. And heaven stepped in just in time. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision is appointed for a set time, and though it tarries, it doesn't lie. That appointed moment is now unfolding. Chosen one, your obedience in this season will determine whether you step into breakthrough or unnecessary delay. Still, your spirit. Lean in. What you are about to hear is not entertainment. It is protection, revelation, and divine instruction released for this exact moment. Chosen one, listen closely. What you are feeling right now is not emotional hype, not imagination, and not coincidence. Something in your spirit is rising because heaven is placing a divine spotlight on your next step. You can sense the heaviness, the shift, the weight of this moment. And that's because this is not just information, this is intervention. This is God Himself pulling you aside to protect you from something you cannot yet see. Chosen one. I need you to understand this. With every part of your being, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural turning point. One decision, one reaction, one moment of obedience, or one moment of impulse can determine the direction of your next season. That's why heaven arranged this encounter. That's why you feel that deep stirring, like your spirit is trying to speak louder than your thoughts. Right now, you may be feeling excitement because something new seems to be forming in your life. Maybe a sudden opportunity, an open door, someone offering you connection, validation, or advancement. And at first glance, it looks perfect. It feels aligned. It appears to match the prayers you've been praying in secret. But chosen one, heaven is leaning in and whispering, and in some places even shouting, no, not this. Not now. Do not move. This is not because God wants to limit you. This is because He sees the trap you cannot yet discern. And I know this place well. I've lived this moment. I've walked into seasons where everything looked right, where every sign lined up, where excitement drowned out caution. And every single time I rushed ahead of God, I paid for it. Every single time I ignored the tightening in my chest or the sudden hesitation in my spirit, I discovered later what God was trying to shield me from: heartbreak, misalignment, manipulation, confusion, delay. Anointed one, the enemy is strategic. He studies you. He studies your patterns, your desires, your vulnerabilities, your dreams. He knows exactly what your heart aches for, and He knows exactly what kind of opportunity will make you justify ignoring God's voice. The trap is not random, it is custom built. It reminds me of seasons where I prayed for breakthrough only to receive something that looked like breakthrough but carried an undertone of chaos. I've had people enter my life with charm on the surface and hidden motives beneath. I've walked into business opportunities that promised elevation but came with hidden spiritual costs. On the outside, everything looked God-sent, but the more I looked back, the more I realized it wasn't God, it was bait, chosen one. That same thing is happening to you right now. The enemy is banking on your excitement. He wants you to move quickly, emotionally, impulsively, because he knows that rushed decisions create long delays. He wants you to mistake temptation for timing. He wants you to confuse access with assignment. But God is blocking the move because he loves you, because he sees long-term consequences you cannot yet perceive, and because he has a divine plan that does not require you to abandon wisdom to get what you desire. When I look at your situation, I feel the same urgency I have felt in moments when God grabbed me by the Spirit and said, "Slow down. This is not me. This is not your blessing. This is the enemy dressing destruction in the clothing of opportunity. I didn't always listen, and I paid for that. But the lessons birthed wisdom, and that wisdom is now the oil I pour into you, chosen. One, hear me, your breakthrough is close, and that is exactly why the danger is close. The enemy rarely attacks hardest when you are stagnant. He attacks hardest when you are closest to elevation. The counterfeit always comes before the authentic. The false door always appears before the real one opens. The distraction always presents itself before destiny arrives. This is why discernment is not optional in this moment. It is essential. When something seems flawless, effortless, or too perfectly timed, that is when you must pause the longest. God will never frustrate his own plans, but he will frustrate the plans of your enemy, even if it disappoints you for a moment. I've seen relationships that looked like answered prayers turn into burdens that drained years of purpose. I've seen jobs that promised stability quickly twist into spiritual warfare. I've seen perfect opportunities slowly unravel into traps designed to derail purpose. And every time the signs were there, a tightening in the spirit, a sudden confusion, a subtle hesitation, an unexplainable lack of peace. Chosen one, those same signs are appearing around you right now. Your environment is shifting, your emotions feel louder, your mind feels pulled in two directions. And that is not random. That is spiritual pressure signaling, look again, slow down, something is off. Before we continue deeper, pause here. Let this settle in your spirit. You are not being held back, you are being protected. Chosen one. As we continue, I need you to breathe and allow your spirit to settle into what heaven is revealing. There are moments in life where God speaks softly, and there are moments where he speaks with unmistakable urgency. This is one of those moments. The atmosphere around you is shifting because what is ahead of you carries weight. Your next step matters, and the enemy knows it. That is why he has been studying you not casually, but meticulously, waiting for the exact moment when excitement overshadows discernment. He crafts illusions, with precision shaping opportunities that look like blessings, but carry the scent of spiritual danger. And while you see a door, heaven sees a trap. I remember a season in my own life when everything seemed to align perfectly. A door opened that I had prayed for, an offer came that matched my dreams, and the timing seemed divine. But something inside me felt unsettled. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was fear or overthinking. But the unease grew stronger, and every time I tried to silence it, it echoed louder. Eventually, I paused long enough to pray honestly, not asking God to make it happen, but asking him to expose the truth. And when he did, the curtain lifted. What looked like opportunity was actually a spiritual detour. If I had stepped into it, I would have been pulled away from my purpose, drained emotionally, and delayed for years. That experience taught me that discernment is not born in silence, it is born in stillness. When we stop long enough to hear heaven speaks, chosen one, heaven is speaking to you right now. You are feeling strange hesitations, sudden fogginess, or inconsistent peace, and that is not random. God is trying to protect you from what you cannot yet see. The enemy hopes you interpret urgency as confirmation emotion, as revelation, and excitement as green light. But heaven wants you to slow down, to breathe, to examine, to step back from anything that feels rushed or too perfectly timed. For God does not need pressure to work. The enemy does. Heaven moves with peace. The enemy moves with panic. When something pushes you to act quickly, to decide immediately, to leap before listening, that is when you must pause the longest. I've lived long enough to know this truth. Every major disaster in my life began with a rushed yes. Every breakthrough in my life began with a prayerful pause. And that is exactly where you are right now, at the intersection of impulse and instruction, emotion and wisdom, urgency and divine timing. The enemy hopes you underestimate your own vulnerability. He hopes you ignore the spiritual alarms God has placed in your emotions, in your body, in your environment. He hopes you focus on what looks right instead of what feels wrong. But God is reminding you that your spirit senses danger long before your mind understands it. When certain people suddenly feel different, when a room feels heavier, when a conversation that once felt easy now feels off, these are divine nudges, and God uses them to awaken you. Chosen. One part of your elevation requires outgrowing the version of you that used to be fooled by superficial alignment. God is not just protecting you from danger, He is training you for destiny. You cannot walk into divine wealth, divine influence, divine purpose with the same level of discernment you had in previous seasons. The higher you rise, the more subtle the traps become, the more valuable your calling, the more customized the enemy's strategies. Heaven is not merely warning you. Heaven is maturing you. I remember another season when God blocked an opportunity I wanted so desperately. I was frustrated. I felt overlooked. I felt like God was being unfair. But months later, new information surfaced. That opportunity was attached to hidden motives, manipulation, and spiritual compromise. If God had given me what I wanted, it would have cost me what I needed. That is the kind of protection God is giving you right now. Not punishment protection, not denial direction, but you must be willing to trust Him when He says no, not yet, or not this. You must trust Him when He removes someone suddenly, when He closes a door unexpectedly, when He interrupts a plan that looked flawless. Heaven sees the conversations you were never meant to hear, the intentions that were never spoken aloud, the plans formed behind your back, the traps set in the spirit before they reached the natural. And because God loves you too deeply to let you walk into destruction unknowingly, He intervenes. That is what this message is: divine intervention. Chosen one, you are valuable to heaven. You are too called, too marked, too anointed to waste years on something that was never part of God's blueprint. This is why He is slowing you down. This is why He is tightening your spirit. This is why He is heightening your sensitivity. God is not trying to frustrate you. He is preparing you. He is shaping the version of you that is capable of carrying the blessing that is coming. The wealth, the influence, the purpose, the elevation, all of it requires razor-sharp discernment. And this moment is heaven sharpening your blade. You must listen. You must pay attention. You must rise above emotion and step into clarity. Heaven is guiding your steps because what is ahead of you is too great to be derailed now. chosen one. As we move deeper into this revelation, I need you to understand something that will shift the way you see this entire season. The intensity you feel, the pressure, the restlessness, the sudden awareness. It is not spiritual chaos. It is spiritual clarity sharpening itself inside you. This is heaven tuning your discernment, because what is approaching you in the unseen is bigger than anything you have walked into before. And when heaven is preparing to elevate you, the enemy prepares to imitate God. He crafts counterfeits that look divine, feel divine, and sound divine, hoping you won't pause long enough to sense that something is off. But you, chosen one, are not who you used to be. Your spirit has matured. Your ears have become sharper. Your steps are ordered in ways you are only beginning to understand. There was a time in my life when every opportunity felt like it had to be from God simply because it was available. I assumed open doors were always divine doors, but experience taught me differently. I learned that the enemy also opens doors wide, shiny, and perfectly timed, not to bless me, but to drain me. Some of the hardest seasons I ever walked through began with opportunities I thought were heaven sent. They came wrapped in excitement, validation, and quick promises. But when the wrapping fell away, what remained was confusion, manipulation, and inner disconnection. And that disconnection is always the first sign something is spiritually misaligned. Even if your mind agrees, even if your emotions are eager, your spirit will always whisper the truth. That whisper is what God is strengthening in you right now. Anointed one, you are in a season where God is requiring stillness before movement. Not inactivity, but intentional slowness. Heaven is trying to show you the difference between momentum born from God and momentum born from pressure. When God moves you, you feel peace, even in uncertainty. When the enemy pushes you, you feel rush fear and the sense that if you don't act now, you'll lose everything. That is not how heaven speaks. The enemy thrives on panic. God works through alignment. And alignment requires patience, something your old season did not teach you, but your new season demands. I can recall a moment when someone came into my life with everything I thought I needed. They carried charisma, opportunity, and the illusion of compatibility. At first, it felt like divine orchestration, as if God had answered my prayers overnight. But slowly, cracks appeared. Little inconsistencies. Moments that felt spiritually heavy. Words that didn't sit right. And one night in silence, I felt an unexplainable tightening in my chest, a sign God often uses to get my attention. When I stepped back and prayed, truly prayed, heaven revealed everything I had missed in my excitement. The truth came slowly, gently, but undeniably. And that truth saved me years of pain. God is giving you that same grace right now. You are not being paranoid. You are being protected. Chosen one. The trap you're sensing is not small. It is not harmless. It is not something you can simply navigate through. The enemy is targeting your next season, not your current comfort. He knows how close you are to breakthrough, elevation, and divine transfer. He knows heaven is aligning resources, relationships, opportunities, and territories for you. He sees the shift in the spirit even before you see it in the natural. And because he cannot stop what God has ordained, he attempts to redirect you. He attempts to delay you. He attempts to distract you with something that looks holy but is hollow, something that sounds promising but is poisonous at the core. This is why God is tightening your discernment. This is why you felt more sensitive, more alert, more spiritually aware than usual. It's not anxiety, it's activation. Heaven is activating your inner radar so you can detect what your emotions would normally overlook. The things you used to fall for, you won't fall for anymore. The traps you used to step into, you'll recognize instantly. The people who once manipulated your kindness will find you spiritually untouchable. You are stepping into a version of yourself that hell hoped you would never discover. And here's the truth. Discernment is not always loud. Sometimes it is a whisper, a hesitation, a slight discomfort you can't explain. Sometimes it comes as a shift in the atmosphere around someone. Sometimes it comes as sudden heaviness around a decision that used to feel light. Sometimes it shows up as a dream, a strange thought, a subtle warning. Heaven speaks in gentle nudges long before danger becomes visible. But the enemy hopes you ignore those nudges because you can't rationalize them. He hopes you choose logic over discernment, excitement over wisdom, desire over truth. But you, chosen one, are moving differently now. Every attack you survived sharpened you. Every disappointment matured you. Every betrayal trained your spirit to detect false alignment. Every delay strengthened your sensitivity to God's timing. And now you stand at a place where heaven can trust you with instructions that require depth, not emotion. That is why this warning is coming to you now, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough to hear it. Heaven only warns those who are close to destiny. You are stepping into a season where your future requires clarity, your purpose requires precision, your calling requires carefulness. And your spirit requires protection. Heaven is not just watching over you. Heaven is guiding you, shielding you, and ensuring you do not fall into a trap designed to rob you of the next chapter God has prepared. Chosen one. As we move forward, let your spirit stay open, because what heaven is revealing now is deeper than simple warning. This is preparation for the elevation God has already written into your future. Every sensation you feel, every pause rising inside you, every moment that suddenly feels heavier than usual is part of a divine calibration. God is not just protecting you from a trap, He is upgrading your spiritual sensitivity so you can walk confidently into a season of supernatural promotion without stumbling over what once deceived you. And to understand this, you must recognize how the enemy studies not only your desires, but also your patterns. He watches what excites you, what scares you, what comforts you, what pressures you, and what you tend to rush toward without thinking. He uses this data to craft illusions that appeal to you specifically. That is why some traps don't tempt others. They weren't built for them, they were built for you. But what the enemy doesn't see is that you've changed, you've grown. Your spirit no longer sleeps through spiritual danger. You feel it now. You sense the shift. You can walk into a room and immediately know something is off, even if nothing is said out loud. That ability is not natural, it is divine. I remember a season when I kept meeting people who felt familiar, comforting, even sent. They spoke my language. They affirmed my dreams, they mirrored my wounds. But over time I learned that familiarity can be a spiritual disguise. Not everything that feels familiar is from God. Sometimes it is the enemy trying to lure you into repeating a cycle you already broke free from. Those people were not blessings, they were bait. They carried warmth in their words, but coldness in their intentions. And every time the moment I stopped romanticizing the connection and actually prayed, clarity came like a flood. Chosen one, you will face this same test. Something in your life right now carries familiarity but not alignment. Comfort but not calling. Emotion but not peace. And heaven is telling you, do not ignore the difference. You see, the enemy thrives on emotional vulnerability. When you're tired, lonely, discouraged, or overwhelmed, he sends you what looks like relief. When you crave companionship, he sends counterfeit love. When you crave breakthrough, he sends rushed opportunities. When you crave stability, he sends false security. And in each of these, the trap is not the offer itself. The trap is the timing. For the enemy understands that a blessing given in the wrong season becomes a burden. A relationship introduced prematurely becomes a distraction. An opportunity accepted too quickly becomes a cage. But heaven is saying to you now, slow down, pay attention. Your heart is speaking, but your spirit is shouting. That tension you feel is divine intervention. You are being saved from consequences your eyes cannot yet see. And yes, I know this feeling can be frustrating. You pray for opportunities, and when one shows up, you expect it to be from God. You pray for clarity, and when circumstances shift, you expect it to be confirmation. But you must understand, sometimes God withholds what you want because it would sabotage what you need. Sometimes he closes a door, not because the door is bad, but because the timing is wrong. And sometimes he removes someone from your life because their presence would contaminate your next season. I've experienced this personally. There was a time when a friend suddenly became distant. Calls stopped. Plans fizzled. At first I felt hurt, confused. But months later, truths surfaced, conversations I didn't know happened, intentions I never would have guessed, plans that were never aligned with mine. God removed them not to punish me, but to protect me, and he is doing the same for you. The sudden distance, the unexpected tension, the odd behavior, these are not coincidences. These are signs of heaven at work. Pay attention to what God is exposing. Chosen one. God is not allowing confusion to torment you. He is allowing it to awaken you. Confusion is often the first sign your spirit is detecting a lie. When something once felt clear but suddenly becomes foggy, do not push forward. Pause, observe, realign. Heaven is not trying to slow you down for no reason. Heaven is trying to make sure you don't step into a situation designed to drain you spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Because the enemy cannot destroy what God protects, so instead, he tries to deceive you into destroying it yourself. He hopes you get impatient. He hopes you get desperate. He hopes you get tired of waiting so he can present you with a shortcut disguised as destiny. But you, chosen one, are stepping into a season where shortcuts will no longer seduce you. Your discernment is too strong now. Your spirit is too awake. Your calling is too precious. The next thing God gives you will require a version of you that knows how to say no, how to step back, how to evaluate spiritually, not emotionally. And this moment, this warning, is heaven shaping that version of you. What you're feeling right now is not fear. It is spiritual maturity. It is the realization that not every open door is divine, not every opportunity is ordained, and not every connection is covenant. Heaven is elevating you beyond naive alignment and into prophetic discernment. And when discernment matures, deception loses its power. Chosen one. As we move deeper into the heart of this prophetic revelation, you must understand that heaven is not merely trying to keep you safe. Heaven is trying to keep you aligned. Every shift you are experiencing, every hesitation rising within you, every moment where your spirit tightens, even though your mind cannot explain why, is evidence that God is pulling you out of harm's path before the danger fully forms. The enemy hopes you mistake this discomfort as insecurity, anxiety, or overthinking. But what you are feeling is not fear, it is foresight. It is the Holy Spirit awakening your inner radar, tuning your spiritual senses so sharply that deception can no longer get past your gates unnoticed. And this is happening because you're stepping into a chapter where missteps carry greater cost and obedience carries greater reward. When you prayed for elevation, for destiny, for supernatural expansion, heaven heard you. But what you may not have realized is that elevation requires pruning. Elevation requires boundaries. Elevation requires discernment that cuts cleanly through emotional fog. And so God began to separate you from people, desires, impulses, and environments that would sabotage your next level. Some exits hurt. Some shifts confused you. Some losses felt unnecessary. But heaven saw what you could not see: conversations held behind your back, motives hidden behind smiles, opportunities wrapped in seduction but empty of purpose. These things were removed, not because you were rejected, but because you were protected. You were not abandoned. You were insulated, anointed one. The enemy is hoping you overlook one critical truth. Traps rarely look like traps. They look like fulfillment. They look like relief. They look like companionship, validation, breakthrough, or answered prayer. The enemy packages destruction in the clothing of your desires because he knows you would never walk willingly into pain, but you might walk willingly into a promise that feels premature or too convenient. That is why God is slowing you down. He is not trying to withhold blessings. He is trying to keep you from accepting a version of blessing that is not his. The counterfeit always appears before the authentic, and heaven wants you to recognize the difference before it costs you years of recovery. I remember a time when I entered a situation that felt perfect, a relationship that felt aligned, a job that felt promising, an opportunity that checked every box. Everyone around me celebrated it. My emotions embraced it. My mind justified it. But deep inside, something felt unsettled. I ignored that inner whisper and stepped into it anyway. For a short while, everything felt beautiful, but slowly the truth revealed itself. Hidden manipulation, silent demands, spiritual confusion, emotional exhaustion. It took me years to unwind what one rushed decision had tied me into. And when I finally stepped away from that chapter, God said to my spirit, "I warned you, not because I doubted you, but because I loved your future too much to let you walk blindly." And this same love is reaching for you now. The enemy has built something in front of you that looks customized to your desires, crafted around your weaknesses, shaped perfectly around what your heart secretly longs for. But God sees the sharp edges hidden beneath the softness. He sees the spiritual cost hidden behind the opportunity. He sees the exhaustion, the compromise, the mental warfare waiting on the other side. And because he sees what you do not, he is pressing into your spirit with urgency. He is saying, "Not this, not now, not them." Those 3 words can save you from a season of regret. But here is where heaven wants to mature you. Discernment is not only the ability to detect what is wrong, it is also the ability to wait for what is right. Many chosen ones fall not because they are deceived, but because they are impatient. The enemy preys on impatience. He uses timing as a weapon, hoping the delay will frustrate you into grabbing the wrong thing. But heaven wants you to understand that divine timing is not just about waiting, it is about being prepared. Some blessings are delayed not because God is slow, but because you cannot afford to receive them prematurely. A blessing given before its time becomes a burden. Chosen one. The tension you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. The confusion you feel is not weakness, it is God rearranging your spiritual vision. The pause you feel is not stagnation, it is divine protection. The heaviness you feel when you consider a certain decision is not anxiety, it is heaven signaling danger. Do not override what your spirit is trying to tell you. Do not let desire silence discernment. Do not let loneliness silence wisdom. Do not let excitement drown out the warning embedded in your chest. I know what it feels like to want something so deeply that you convince yourself it must be from God. I know the ache of waiting. I know the desire for companionship, stability, recognition, or forward movement. But I also know the pain of running ahead of God and the peace of walking with Him. And one thing I know for certain is this: when God says no, He is never denying you. He is redirecting you toward something greater, safer, purer, and more aligned with your destiny. This season is not about losing. It is about learning. It is about sharpening. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that the old you could never become. And heaven is proud of you because you are listening, you are awakening, you are rising. Chosen one. As we continue, allow your heart to stay tender and your spirit to stay alert, because heaven is not simply warning you, heaven is equipping you. The deeper we go, the more you will see that what is unfolding in your life right now is not random discomfort or emotional turbulence. It is spiritual preparation. God is refining your instincts, heightening your awareness, and strengthening your ability to see beyond what is visible. For this next season of your life, discernment will not be an accessory. It will be armor. It will be protection. It will be the very thing that guards your destiny from subtle sabotage. There is a reason the pressure around you has intensified. There is a reason your emotions feel stretched. There is a reason certain temptations that once passed by without influence now feel more targeted, more specific, more personal. It is because the enemy has identified the window of elevation God is guiding you toward. He sees the momentum building around you. He senses the shift. He recognizes that heaven has already released instructions, preparation, and angelic movement concerning your life. And because he cannot stop what God has ordained, he attempts to misdirect you before you step into it. Anointed one, the enemy prefers subtlety over shock. He knows loud warfare would alert you too quickly. So instead, he attacks gently through distraction, emotional fatigue, false opportunities, sudden connections, and seemingly innocent invitations. But you must understand, traps disguised as blessings are the enemy's most effective weapon against rising chosen ones. The more anointed you become, the softer his approach appears. That is why you must walk carefully, wisely, and prayerfully in this season. I remember a time in my own journey when subtle warfare almost ruined me. There were no dramatic signs, no obvious red flags, no clear warnings. Everything looked normal on the surface. The people were kind, the opportunity was attractive, and the timing felt convenient. But gradually, my peace began to fracture. I found myself second-guessing things I used to be confident about. I felt spiritually drained after conversations that should have inspired me. My inner clarity dimmed, even though nothing external seemed wrong. That is how subtle the enemy works. He destabilizes you internally before anything becomes visible externally. And yet, deep down, I could feel God tugging at my spirit, saying, "Step back. Pay attention. Something here is not what it seems." Chosen one. You will begin noticing similar patterns. You will walk away from certain people feeling strangely unsettled. You will consider certain decisions and feel a sudden heaviness. You will sense something shifting atmospherically when certain names come to mind. You may not be able to articulate why, but your spirit will know. And that knowing is God's mercy. When God reveals something to your spirit before he reveals it to your eyes, it is because the danger is real, but the protection is greater. Heaven needs you alert because the trap designed for you is tailored with precision. The enemy has studied your desires enough to imitate God's timing. He has studied your wounds enough to imitate God's healing. He has studied your prayers enough to imitate God's answers. But no imitation can carry God's peace. No counterfeit can sustain God's confirmation. No illusion can withstand spiritual scrutiny. And that is where your discernment must rise. Chosen one. This is not the time to make emotionally driven decisions. This is not the time to follow impulses that contradict your inner peace. This is not the time to say yes because you feel flattered, lonely, rushed, or obligated. This is the time to anchor yourself in stillness, to listen before you leap, to observe before you commit, to evaluate spiritually, not emotionally. Heaven is guiding your steps with precision right now. God is not vague. He is not silent. He is not distant. He is speaking not always through words, but through hesitations, discomfort, dreams, timing delays, and the subtle shifting of circumstances. Pay attention to these signs. They are heaven's language, and once you learn to interpret them, you will never fall for disguised traps again. I've walked through seasons where God allowed doors to close painfully, suddenly, without explanation. At the time I felt confused and even frustrated. But later, when truth surfaced, hidden intentions, secret jealousy, quiet manipulation or spiritual misalignment, I understood why God blocked what I once begged him to allow. Every closed door was a rescue. Every delay was protection. Every interruption was mercy. And this same mercy is covering you now. Anointed one. God is not trying to deprive you. He is trying to preserve you. He knows how valuable your next chapter is. He knows the weight of the calling resting on your life. He knows the influence you are destined to carry. He knows the wealth, the opportunities, the relationships, and the platforms that will be entrusted to your hands. And he refuses to allow a single trap to sabotage what he has prepared for you. That is why this moment is sacred. You are being conditioned for clarity, strengthened for precision, sharpened for discernment. Your spirit is being awakened so deeply that even the smallest hint of misalignment will become obvious to you. You will no longer step into situations blindly. You will no longer ignore the tension in your chest. You will no longer dismiss the whisper that says, "Look again." You are not the same person you were last season. You are more aware, more grounded, more spiritually mature. The enemy is hoping you haven't noticed your own growth, but heaven has. And heaven is preparing you to walk into divine elevation without falling for the traps that once wounded you. Chosen one. As we continue into this next movement of the message, I want your spirit to stay open, steady, and receptive, because the clarity God is releasing now is meant to free you from confusion that has lingered far too long. You may not realize it yet, but heaven has been untangling knots inside you, knots of old attachments, knots of emotional pressure, knots of spiritual fog. And now the Holy Spirit is breathing on those tangled places so you can finally recognize what has been pulling at your peace. God is not merely warning you about a trap. He is revealing why you have been feeling stretched, unsettled, or inwardly conflicted. This conflict is not weakness. It is evidence that your discernment has evolved beyond your old patterns, and your spirit refuses to let you walk blindly into what would drain you. Chosen. 1. Understand this deeply. When you mature spiritually, your discernment becomes louder than your desires. What used to sway you no longer impresses you. What used to seduce you no longer moves you. What used to distract you now irritates your spirit. This is growth. This is awakening. This is heaven pulling you out of emotional impulse and anchoring you into spiritual intelligence. And whether you know it or not, God has been training you through every disappointment you survived, every betrayal you healed, from every delay that forced you to slow down and listen, every moment where you had to choose wisdom over wanting. He has been forming a version of you that can no longer be tricked by counterfeit blessings. I recall a season when someone entered my life with undeniable charm. They said all the right things, mirrored my goals, admired my calling, and made me feel understood. To my natural eyes, they looked like alignment, but my spirit kept tightening. I could not explain it, but peace would not settle around them. And over time, God began revealing small inconsistencies, nothing dramatic, just subtle signals, a tone that felt slightly manipulative, an expectation that felt slightly controlling, a comment that felt slightly diminishing. These slightlies are how the enemy hides, and that is why discernment must be sharp. If I had ignored those subtleties, I would have walked into deeper entanglement, deeper distraction, deeper spiritual erosion. But God protected me because I listened to the whisper instead of the appearance. Chosen one. Someone or something around you carries this same subtle inconsistency. It may not be loud, it may not be problematic, but something feels off. You may not have language for it, but you sense it. Every time you consider that decision, something inside you hesitates. Every time you imagine engaging deeper, something within you feels heavy. Every time you get close to saying yes, your spirit pulls back. That tension is God's mercy. The people around you may not understand it because they cannot feel what your spirit feels. They may encourage you to move forward because to them it looks harmless. But heaven is not speaking to them. Heaven is speaking to you. Anointed One God is calling you into a season where you will have to trust the revelation He gives you, even when others do not see what you see. Elevation requires courage to say no when everything around you says yes. It requires confidence to step away even when you're misunderstood. It requires boldness to follow God's whisper over people's opinions. And that is exactly what heaven is birthing inside you now. Your future requires a version of you that moves by revelation, not approval. The enemy studies your emotional landscape. He knows the wounds you once carried, the loneliness you've battled, the desire for opportunity, the longing for reassurance, the hunger for belonging. He knows how to present something that feels like it fills those needs. But God wants you to understand that the enemy's gifts always cost more than they give. They take your time, drain your spirit, dilute your purpose, and delay your destiny. And delay is one of hell's most effective strategies. The enemy cannot destroy the blessing God has prepared for you, but he can delay your arrival at it by distracting you with something cheaper, something shinier, something easier. But hear this, you are too close to the promise to be detoured now. Heaven has been aligning opportunities, relationships, and resources for you behind the scenes. You may not see the full picture yet, but the spiritual realm is shifting in your favor. Angels are working, doors are forming, strategies are downloading, and the enemy is terrified because he can see the movement long before you do. That is why the pressure has been intense. That is why the temptation has been tailored. That is why the distraction feels personal. The enemy is not attacking you because you are weak. He's attacking you because you are rising. Chosen one, your rise threatens hell. Your obedience threatens darkness. Your alignment threatens generational patterns. Your awakening threatens cycles that have held your bloodline captive for decades. And this trap the enemy has crafted is not just about you, it is about stopping the impact of your future. But he will not succeed because you are no longer guided by old thinking or old desires. You are guided by revelation, intuition, and divine alignment. This is why God is pressing you to slow down, to question, to examine, to listen. Not because he wants to frustrate you, but because he wants to protect the destiny he placed inside you. Your calling requires a clear mind, a grounded heart, and a spirit that refuses to settle for anything less than God's best. And right now, heaven is pulling you away from danger and pushing you toward purpose. You are awakening, chosen one, and awakened people cannot be deceived. Chosen one. As we continue into this deeper current of revelation, I want you to notice something powerful happening inside you. With every moment of clarity, with every spiritual nudge, with every whisper of warning, God is not only separating you from danger, he is separating you from the version of yourself that once tolerated danger, the version of you that overlooked red flags, the version of you that moved too quickly, the version of you that trusted too easily, the version of you that mistook emotional intensity for spiritual alignment. Heaven is maturing you, refining you, and shaping you into someone who cannot be easily pulled off destiny ever again. You must understand, chosen one, that discernment does not develop in comfortable seasons. It grows in tension, it sharpens in confusion, it awakens through disappointment. Every time you felt unsettled around someone but couldn't explain why, your discernment grew. Every time God blocked something you thought you wanted, your discernment grew. Every time someone's words sounded right, but their energy felt wrong, your discernment grew. The enemy hoped these moments would discourage you, but instead they trained you. Each spiritual conflict you've endured is now becoming spiritual intelligence for the path ahead. Anointed one. The trap that has been forming around you is not obvious because the enemy knows obvious deception will not fool you anymore. He must approach quietly, and that's exactly why discernment is rising in you with such intensity. You are transitioning from a believer who reacts to a warrior who perceives. There's a difference. Reaction waits for danger to show itself. Perception senses danger forming long before it reaches the surface. That is the anointing on you right now. Your spirit is detecting lies before they're spoken. Your intuition is catching manipulation before it fully presents itself. Your soul is recoiling from environments that are not assigned to you. This is heaven training your senses to read the unseen. I've lived through seasons where people spoke blessings over me while planning against me, where opportunities that looked perfect carried small details that didn't sit right, where invitations felt generous but left me spiritually drained. The enemy sent these situations hoping I would be impressed by appearance and ignore atmosphere. But atmosphere never lies. Someone can say all the right things, but their spiritual vibration will reveal their true intention. You, chosen one, are beginning to feel these vibrations more clearly now. When something or someone is wrong for you, your entire spirit responds. Your peace shifts, your energy tightens, your emotions feel pressured. That is your inner warning system saying, step back, look again. And hear this, God never lets confusion linger without purpose. If you feel torn, uncertain, or strangely conflicted, it is often heaven giving you space to see what your emotions tried to rush past. Confusion is not always attack. Sometimes it is protection. It slows you down long enough for truth to surface. And the truth is beginning to surface for you now. Chosen one. The enemy's greatest desire is not simply to trick you, it is to reroute you, to delay you. to consume your time, attention, and emotional strength, so that when the real blessing appears, you are too drained to receive it. But heaven refuses to let that happen. Everything in your life right now, the pauses, the delays, the sudden discomforts, the unexpected redirections, is God pulling you into alignment with what He has prepared. He is not only blocking the wrong thing, He is preparing the right thing. And yes, the right thing may not have appeared yet. Yes, you may feel caught in the in-between. Yes, your spirit may feel stretched. But that stretching is not a sign of abandonment. It is a sign of transition. You are outgrowing old seasons, old patterns, and old connections. Sometimes God must loosen your roots in one place before He plants you in another. That loosening feels like instability, but it is actually divine repositioning. When you feel this spiritual stretching, the enemy will try to use the discomfort to push you towards something premature, something almost right, but not fully right. Something that looks like relief, but would become bondage. Something that feels like destiny, but lacks God's breath. You must resist the urge to settle for almost. Almost is the enemy of appointed. Almost is the enemy of anointed. Almost is the enemy of aligned. Chosen one. Something greater is forming in the unseen, something that requires you to stay spiritually sober and emotionally grounded, something that requires your no to become stronger than your impulses, something that requires you to trust God even when He gives no explanation. Your next chapter demands a version of you who can sense danger before it manifests, who can walk away from anything that disrupts peace, who can say yes only when heaven says yes. This is why the warning feels so strong. Heaven is not speaking to scare you. Heaven is speaking to prepare you for a breakthrough that cannot be contaminated by impulse or deception. You are closer than you think. You are wiser than you realize, and you are being guided with more precision than you understand. Chosen one. As we continue into this next unfolding of the message, I want you to take a moment and recognize how far you've already come in this journey of awakening. You are no longer moving through life blindly. You are no longer the person who second-guessed every spiritual nudge or ignored every inner hesitation. The transformation happening inside you is intentional and heaven orchestrated. God has been rewiring your instincts, cleansing your perception, and reshaping your emotional boundaries. What once confused you now feels clearer. What once enticed you now feels irrelevant. What once pulled you now feels distant. This is the mark of spiritual maturity, and it is why the enemy has intensified his attempts, because he knows your discernment is becoming too sharp for him to deceive easily. Chosen. One, understand this deeply. Elevation attracts warfare. Not chaotic warfare, but strategic warfare. Warfare that comes wrapped in opportunity. Warfare that comes disguised as connection. Warfare that comes looking like comfort validation or sudden alignment. The enemy does not waste resources sending loud attacks against someone who is learning to recognize loud attacks. Instead, he sends subtle snares, whispered temptations, influences that feel harmless at first glance, perfectly timed distractions, invitations that stroke the ego, advice that sounds wise but pulls you off your path. These snares are crafted to slip past those who rely solely on logic or emotion, but they cannot slip past a spirit that has been awakened, and your spirit. Chosen one is awakening in ways you may not fully notice yet. You're becoming more sensitive to tone, to energy, to spiritual temperature. You're catching small shifts in people's behavior. You're recognizing when someone's presence drains you instead of builds you. You're noticing when a door opens too easily, when it seems too convenient, when it feels too good to be true. That subconscious tightening, that sudden pause, that brief moment of inner discomfort, those are not random. Those are warnings. Those are spiritual alarms going off to keep you from stepping into something that could derail your progress for months or even years. I've lived through seasons where I thought I was discerning only to discover later that I had been spiritually exhausted and emotionally vulnerable, and in that vulnerability I almost accepted things that would have cost me everything I had prayed for. The enemy works hardest when you are tired. He works hardest when you are lonely. He works hardest when you are waiting. He works hardest when you are craving change, craving movement, craving confirmation. Because in those moments your desire feels louder than your discernment. But this season is different. The version of you standing here today has learned to pause before leaping, to question before agreeing, to reflect before responding. And that alone terrifies hell. Anointed. 1. The confusion you've felt recently is a sign of two realms pulling at you, the realm of destiny and the realm of distraction. Each decision, each interaction, each opportunity is trying to pull you toward one realm or the other. And because heaven is guiding you toward an elevated place, the pull of distraction has become more aggressive. You are being lured not by what is obviously wrong, but by what is almost right. The enemy knows you won't fall for clear destruction, so he sends counterfeit direction. You must recognize the difference. Something about the situation you've been considering, whether a relationship, an opportunity, a shift, or an offer, feels off. You may not have evidence yet. You may not have clarity yet. But your soul feels unsettled, and the unsettling is your evidence. Peace is the voice of God. When peace quiets, you must pay attention. God will never require you to sacrifice your inner harmony to receive His blessing. Divine blessings carry divine peace. Counterfeits carry excitement, but no grounding. They stimulate your emotions, but starve your spirit. They look promising, but drain you quietly. Chosen one. The enemy's trap often begins with emotional pressure. He needs you to feel rushed, overwhelmed, or persuaded. He needs you to feel like you must make a decision quickly. He needs you to feel as though this is your only chance, your only opportunity, your only open door. But heaven is reminding you that what is truly yours will never require you to panic to receive it. God does not operate through fear-driven urgency. He operates through steady alignment. And alignment, anointed one, is exactly what heaven is drawing you into. You are learning to trust your inner knowing more than external noise. You are learning to let your spirit speak louder than your wounds. You are learning to choose clarity over chemistry. You are learning that not everything that feels good is God sent. This is the season where you rise above emotional temptation and spiritual confusion. This is the season where you begin discerning motives that are not spoken, intentions that are not shown, and traps that are not obvious. This is the season where your no becomes a weapon of protection. And this is the season where heaven teaches you that saying no to the wrong thing is just as holy as saying yes to the right thing. Chosen one. What is ahead of you requires spiritual sobriety. You cannot enter your next chapter distracted, entangled, or misaligned. The weight of your calling, the magnitude of your purpose, and the inheritance assigned to your name is too significant to be compromised by one moment of emotional impulse. Heaven is preparing you. Heaven is surrounding you. Heaven is speaking to you. Listen closely. Chosen one. As we step into this next layer of revelation, I want you to understand that what God is doing in you right now is not merely protective, it is prophetic. Heaven is preparing you not only to avoid what was meant to harm you, but to recognize what is meant to elevate you. This sharpening, this inner awakening, this spiritual sensitivity you've been feeling is not accidental. It is the mark of someone God is positioning for greater territory. And greater territory requires greater discernment. The enemy cannot afford for you to develop this level of clarity, because once you fully awaken to it, every trap he sets becomes powerless. Every counterfeit becomes obvious. Every distraction loses its influence. Chosen one, you may have noticed that the closer you get to breakthrough, the more confusing things appear. The people you were once clear about suddenly feel different. The decisions you once felt certain about suddenly feel heavy. The opportunities that once looked attractive now feel suspicious. This confusion is not a sign that you are falling apart. It is a sign that your spirit is outgrowing environments, people, and choices that are not part of your next season. When God begins to elevate you, He removes the old clarity, so you cannot settle for anything beneath your calling. He unsettles what was once comfortable, so you do not remain in a place that can no longer sustain who you are becoming. I've been in seasons where clarity dissolved overnight, where things I thought were stable suddenly shook, where I felt unable to explain why something felt wrong even when it looked right. And every time that happened, God was repositioning me. He was pulling me away from what would eventually drain me and guiding me toward what would eventually bless me. That same divine redirection is happening in your life right now. Your spirit is recognizing misalignment long before your mind can understand it. And this is one of the highest forms of protection heaven can give. Anointed, one God is teaching you to identify intention without requiring evidence. He is teaching you to feel spiritual truth before it becomes visible. This is how prophets discern. This is how leaders navigate. This is how chosen vessels avoid sabotage. Discernment is not given so you can judge others. It is given so you can protect your destiny. And your destiny is too valuable to be placed in the hands of the wrong people or the wrong opportunities. There is something in your life right now that has been trying to pull your attention. It may be a person, it may be an invitation, it may be an opportunity that feels promising on the outside, but leaves your spirit unsettled. Pay close attention to that feeling. When God wants your attention, He whispers. When the enemy wants your attention, he rushes. You have been feeling rushed, pressured, or emotionally stirred for a reason. The enemy knows that if he can get you to act on emotion, he can disconnect you from revelation. He wants you to choose quickly rather than spiritually. He wants you to react instead of discern. But heaven is calling you to stillness. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Anything that threatens your peace is threatening your destiny. Peace is not a luxury, it is a compass. When peace leaves, God is speaking. When confusion enters, God is protecting. When heaviness settles, God is warning. Your emotions may try to rationalize what your spirit already rejected, but you must trust the voice of God within you. He's not trying to deprive you, He's trying to direct you. I remember a moment where everything in me wanted to move forward with something that seemed perfect. I argued with God internally, trying to convince myself that the uneasiness was just fear. But each time I prayed, the pressure increased. I delayed making a decision long enough to finally see the truth. What looked like opportunity was actually distraction dressed in favor. And when I stepped away, peace returned instantly. Your peace is telling you the truth, even when your mind cannot yet see it. Anointed One, you have matured beyond needing obvious signs. God no longer needs to shout because you have learned to hear his whisper. The enemy no longer needs to yell because he knows you can detect even his slightest movements. This is growth. This is transformation. This is heaven trusting you with deeper spiritual awareness because your assignment requires it. The next chapter of your life will require spiritual precision. You cannot afford to be entangled. You cannot afford to be emotionally scattered. You cannot afford to enter a door God didn't open. This season is not simply about avoiding traps. It is about preserving your capacity for the blessings God is preparing to release. Chosen One, trust what you feel. Trust what heaven is showing you. Trust the uneasiness. Trust the hesitation. Trust the pause. These are not obstacles, they are guidance. They are invitations to slow down, listen, and align. Something greater is approaching you, and God is clearing the path so nothing counterfeit can follow you into your promise. Chosen One. As we enter this next flow of revelation, allow the weight of what heaven is showing you to settle deeply in your spirit. You have reached a point in your journey where God is not simply guiding you, He is upgrading you. Every moment of hesitation, every flicker of discomfort, every internal shift you've been experiencing is part of a divine recalibration. Heaven is tuning your spirit to a frequency that deception cannot imitate. You are being shaped into someone who can sense danger long before it manifests, someone who can discern intention without seeing evidence, someone who moves not by impulse but by revelation. This is the level of spiritual maturity required for the calling on your life. Chosen One. You may feel like you've been walking through a fog, but the fog itself is a sign that God is pulling you away from what no longer matches your identity. When God is separating you from a trap, He doesn't always rip it away. Sometimes He slowly dissolves your peace around it. Peace leaves, so you will follow. Confusion shows up, so you will pause. Restlessness rises, so you will question. And that questioning is the birthplace of clarity. God is not trying to make your life harder. He's trying to prevent you from stepping into something that would cost you years of your destiny. I've experienced times where God allowed certain relationships, opportunities, or environments to suddenly feel heavy, even when nothing outwardly had changed. At first, I wondered if something was wrong with me. But later, I learned that when your spirit grows, it outgrows things quietly. What once felt comforting starts feeling restrictive. What once gave you energy starts draining you. What once felt aligned now feels foreign. This discomfort is divine. It is heaven redirecting you without alarming you. And Chosen One, the same shift is happening inside you now. The enemy sees that you are on the verge of divine elevation, an elevation that will bring clarity, authority, and breakthrough. He knows that once you step into this next season, you will be harder to deceive, impossible to delay, and untouchable in areas where you were once vulnerable. That is why He is fighting you subtly. He cannot stop the blessing, so He tries to blind you before it arrives. He knows He cannot close doors heaven has opened, so He tries to lure you toward doors heaven never assigned. But you, Chosen One, are seeing too clearly. You are sensing too deeply. You are becoming too spiritually awake to fall for a counterfeit crafted from your old wounds. This growth threatens hell more than you realize. And that is exactly why heaven has been pressing on your spirit with urgency, because you are ready for a new level of discernment, and that discernment will save you from battles you were never meant to fight. Anointed One, pay attention to the things that suddenly feel off. Pay attention to conversations that drain your peace. Pay attention to opportunities that require you to shrink who you are. Pay attention to relationships that subtly pull you away from God. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual clues. Heaven never allows you to feel discomfort without purpose. Your inner atmosphere is your greatest indicator of alignment. When your peace tightens, God is speaking. When your emotions feel pressured, the enemy is working. When your mind becomes unsettled, heaven is redirecting. There is something in your life right now that is asking for a decision, a commitment, or your attention. And while your mind may be tempted to say yes, your spirit is whispering no. This whisper is your salvation. This whisper is God shielding your future before you can even see the danger. Do not ignore it. Do not talk yourself out of it. Do not let loneliness, fear, or impatience silence what God is telling you. Discernment is often quiet, but it is always accurate. Chosen, one God is preparing you for blessings that require a stronger version of you. A version that does not second-guess spiritual warnings. A version that trusts God more than appearance. A version that does not let excitement override wisdom. A version that knows peace is the signature of God and pressure is the fingerprint of the enemy. And you are becoming that version right now. You may feel like you are losing things, connections, opportunities, desires you once chased, but you are not losing. You are being aligned. Heaven is pruning you, refining you, and shaping you, so nothing counterfeit can attach itself to your destiny. What God is preparing for you requires purity of spirit, clarity of mind, and stability of heart. And that is exactly what He is producing in you through this season of warning and awakening. The enemy wants you to believe that hesitation is a sign of weakness. But heaven wants you to know that hesitation can be a sign of wisdom. Even silence can be obedience when your spirit is still evaluating what your eyes cannot yet see. Trust your process. Trust your growth. Trust the God who speaks through your peace. You are being prepared for something greater, and heaven will not allow you to enter that greatness with anything that could sabotage it. Chosen one. As we move into this final unfolding of the message, let your spirit recognize the magnitude of what heaven has been doing within you throughout this entire journey. You have not been merely receiving warnings, you have been receiving transformation. God has been constructing within you a spiritual framework strong enough to hold the weight of the destiny He is preparing to release. This is why the refining has felt intense. This is why the internal shifts have felt relentless. Heaven has been cleansing your discernment, strengthening your intuition, and polishing the lens through which you interpret the world. You are becoming someone who cannot be deceived, someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who cannot be diverted from purpose. This is the making of a chosen vessel. Chosen one. The trap that was set before you was not small. It was crafted with great strategy, tailored to your desires, shaped around your emotional history, and timed with precision. The enemy knew your calling was ripening. He saw the spiritual activity surrounding you doors, aligning opportunities, forming divine help being dispatched. He understood that you were about to step into a realm of clarity and authority that would make you dangerous to his kingdom. So he attempted to distract you before the shift became visible. But heaven intervened. Heaven heightened your sensitivity. Heaven disrupted your peace at the exact moment you were about to move in the wrong direction. Heaven whispered when your emotions tried to shout. And now, because you listened, you stand at the threshold of breakthrough with eyes sharper than ever before. Anointed. 1. The version of you standing here now is not the version the enemy prepared the trap for. The trap was designed for your old self, the one who doubted instincts, ignored spiritual tension, and chased after things wrapped in emotional appeal. But the new you, the awakened you, the spiritually empowered you, has outgrown the enemy's strategies. What once tempted you now feels suspicious. What once attracted you now feels shallow. What once pulled you now feels foreign. This is evidence that you have been elevated internally before the elevation manifests externally. God always transforms you before He transforms your circumstances. There will still be moments where you feel uncertain, moments where the path ahead looks too quiet or too still. Moments where you wonder if you heard God correctly. But stillness is not absence, stillness is alignment. God has pulled you out of noise so you can hear Him clearly. He has removed distractions so you can see truth without distortion. He has blocked certain voices because their influence would have weakened your discernment. You are being prepared to walk into blessings that require spiritual precision. And this preparation is not punishment, it is positioning. I've walked through seasons where God's silence felt overwhelming, only to realize later that He was not silent. He was separating me from what was beneath my calling, separating me from people who could not go where I was going, separating me from opportunities that looked divine but carried hidden bondage. And when the separation was complete, the clarity came rushing in like a flood. The same clarity is rising in you now. Heaven is clearing your path, so that when the real blessing arrives, nothing counterfeit stands close enough to confuse you. Chosen. One, hear this clearly. The warning you received was not merely about danger, it was about destiny. God was not just saving you from something, He was saving something for you. A blessing, a connection, an opportunity, a divine assignment that must not be contaminated by premature choices. Your next season carries weight. It carries purpose. It carries provision. It carries supernatural alignment. And for that reason, heaven needed you sober, alert, and spiritually grounded. You may have felt lately as if pieces of your old life were falling away, habits, relationships, desires, dreams you once clung to. But these were not losses, they were releases. God was making room. The things being removed were taking up space meant for what He is about to deliver. You cannot carry the unnecessary into the extraordinary. To step into divine calling, you must walk with divine clarity. That is what this entire journey has been shaping within you. The enemy will attempt again in the future, but he will not find the same vulnerabilities. You are stronger now. You are wiser now. You are spiritually awake now. You will feel deception before it forms. You will sense manipulation before it speaks. You will detect misalignment before it arrives. This is the mark of someone God has trained for destiny. Chosen one, this is your turning point. You have passed the test of discernment. You have resisted the temptation to rush. You have honored the whisper of God over the pull of emotion, and now heaven is free to move in your life with power. What is coming is pure. What is coming is aligned. What is coming carries God's peace, God's timing, and God's signature. You have been protected not just from a trap, but for a blessing. Chosen one. As we close this message, let your spirit be still for a moment. You have not heard these words by accident. Heaven has aligned you with this exact kairos moment, your appointed time, your place of awakening, your threshold of divine protection and supernatural transfer. God has not only warned you, He has positioned you. He has covered you. He has prepared you for what is coming next. Anointed one, walk forward with clarity. Walk forward with obedience. Walk forward with the assurance that what is meant for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or derailed. The trap will not touch you. The counterfeit will not confuse you. The divine path beneath your feet is already opening. If this word resonated in your spirit, pause and acknowledge heaven's confirmation. Share what you felt, subscribe if you're led, and stay connected to this prophetic flow. Chosen one, may God's peace surround you, God's wisdom guide you, and God's hand lift you into the season prepared for your name. Go in alignment, go in strength, go in victory.